Who in the audience is familiar with the NAIC? Okay, the people who work at the NAIC are familiar. That's really great. So we are a member services organization. Our members are the chief insurance regulators in the 56 jurisdictions in the US. So that's the 50 states, DC, and the 5 territories. Extra credit for anyone who can name all 5. SERFF is the system for electronic rates and forms filings. Almost every insurance product that is sold in the United States goes through the SERFF system. It's a workflow system where the insurance carriers submit those product filings, rate changes, amendments to those products, and then the state insurance regulators, because in the US, insurance is regulated at the state level. So the insurance regulators are using the SERFF system to review and approve those filings. So there's a lot of complex work in that review process in particular, a lot of back and forth with those insurance carriers until that product filing is compliant and able to be sold in the state. So the people who use the SERFF system today are compliance professionals within those insurance companies and state insurance regulators. A few years ago, we embarked on this modernization journey at the direction of our membership. SERFF is a system that has a high degree of user satisfaction, but our members knew that it could do more. They were really looking for operational efficiency. Remember that we are working here with government agencies, so their budgets are usually a little bit lower. They don't necessarily have the ability to hire a lot of people. So they have a lot of hiring challenges, and they have a lot of tenure in those insurance departments. So they see people leaving who've been with the department 30 years, and a lot of institutional knowledge is walking out that door. Combined with the hiring challenges that we all see today, it's pretty difficult for them to be able to keep up on that staffing. So we wanted to be able to move those people into doing a better review, take away some of the mundane and repetitive tasks. We call it letting the knowledge workers do knowledge work, so that we wanted to automate a lot of their processes. And at the same time, insurance is becoming even more complex than it was. There's a ton of innovation in the space as insurtechs start coming up with new product ideas, and those coming into the market and trying to figure out the insurance regulatory landscape as well as get those products out there as quickly as possible is really presenting some challenges on both sides, but particularly for regulators. And then we had an aging system. The last time that we did a major redesign on the platform was back in 2005 when we went from Lotus Notes to Java and Oracle. So we built into the platform a lot since then, but that's an eternity in technical times. And so we had this platform that was very feature rich, but it was hard to innovate. It is hard to move quickly in the platform. So we decided to go ahead and jump into a modernization. A little bit about the system that we have today. There are 7.5 million insurance product filings in the system. We have 48 million attachments. Most of those are PDF and Excel files, so that's the actual content of those insurance products. We average around 18,000 users logging in every day. Some of those folks are in the system every day, all day, and then you have an occasional user, maybe who's somebody from finance who just needs to run reports. Overall, we have over 20,000 active users in the platform. Last year, we collected $31 million in state fees. So these are product filing fees that we pass on to the states. And for the techies, we have 348 database tables. I think there are around 600,000 lines of Java code that is a completely custom-built Java application today. And then we have 2 pretty robust suites. So one of the things that we talked about in preparing for this was a lot of times when we hear people talking about their first Appian, they start small. We didn't do that. We started with one of the biggest systems that the NAIC has. It's mission critical to the insurance companies as well as the regulators. So we decided to just go ahead and jump right in.
Hence the go big or go home.
Go big or go home. When we started this modernization, we did have some specific goals in mind. we wanted a really high degree of usability. And the insurance companies have a lot of turnover. Some of these carriers are navigating requirements across 56 jurisdictions. So we needed it to be really smart. We needed it to be really easy to use. When we started on the project, our CTO said in a presentation, it should be so easy to use that you don't need a manual. And I've never forgotten that. So that's something that we strive for with every feature that we build. And this is more than just a facelift for us. The system is very robust today, but every single feature we've evaluated, we kept some, we changed most, and we threw out a couple of them. So we've really taken a hard look at the way that we've done things for the last 25 years and made sure that we rethought those processes and brought that modern feel as well as the modern capabilities. We also wanted to bring a high degree of customization. Because insurance is state regulated, you see there's some common patterns, but every state is a little bit different. They all have different processes. They have different staffing. And so we have a real challenge in bringing that usability and a veneer of uniformity, but still giving each individual state exactly what they need to do their work efficiently. So that's been something that we've looked to find the balance on. We wanted to build a system where we could move quickly. So, we can't move very quickly today in our monolithic application, but we have made a lot of promises to our regulators about what they'll get from the new system, and that it will really help them do their jobs. It will help them improve the consistency and the efficiency of their review. And then when something changes, we want to be very responsive to that change, whether it's a change in regulation or a change in how the market is operating and the things that they're seeing. We always want to be able to deliver what they need very, very quickly. And we wanted to do that with some really innovative features. A couple of the things that we've done in the platform so far, we have a wizard to create the filings in the legacy system today. It is 14 pages long and literally hundreds of checkboxes that the insurers navigate to make a multi-state filing. Using some of the Appian technology, combining it with some NAIC data sources, it's about 2 pages, I don't know, maybe a dozen clicks. It's really, really sharp, it's fast, it's efficient, and we build a ton of complex logic behind those couple of clicks. So it's very easy to use, but a very powerful tool. We managed to get fee calculations across all of those jurisdictions, including retaliatory fees. So that was a really complex piece for us, and it's something that is game-changing for our industry. And then we've built some AI early on into our form schedule today in SERFF. When an insurer is filing their product filing, they may have a handful of forms, they may have hundreds of forms, and today they're typing in form numbers. And I know that's all insurance speak, but it's a pretty important piece of data on those forms. And then they're telling what kind of form it is, and we use the AI in Appian to extract that form number directly from the form and do the form classification. So we have increased the data integrity around that form schedule substantially. We believe that's a basis for the AI capabilities we want in the future.
Nice.
And then we have eliminated the manual data entry and the manual verification on the state side. So for those large filings, we have literally saved both the insurers and the regulators hours of data entry and verification.
Reduction in effort is fantastic.
Yeah, so we're super excited about some of those innovative features that we have already brought and the things that we think we'll be able to do as we continue to build out the platform. We did decide to do a phased rollout. When we were planning the project, we'd spent a lot of time talking about how we would introduce what is really disruptive change to a group of 20,000 people. And nobody wanted to be on the help desk on day one of that release. So we decided to roll it out in features. We have a group called the Insurance Compact. That is an interstate compact with 47 of the jurisdictions who are members. So when they approve a filing, there's an automatic approval in all of those states. They're a great business partner for us. It's a smaller footprint in the SERFF system today. So we decided to partner with the compact. And then we have moved the entirety of both the legacy and the new platform's user management into an Appian module. So now we're able to provide self-service user management. We're eliminating tens of thousands of requests to the NAIC service desk by empowering the users to do their own user management, and they'll be able to do that for both the legacy and the new Appian platform via the Appian user management module. And then about every 6 to 8 months, we'll drop another business. We plan to have releases in between those, but our big milestone releases will move another large line of business over to the Appian platform. So we hope to be done in late 2026. I was having dinner with some other Appian customers, and somebody said that they had done like 50 Appian applications in 3 years. And I said, well, I'm working on my first and we're 2 years in.
Yeah, but it's, I would contrast the two, right? It's
right, I was
context.
like, well, he's like, you might be doing something wrong. And I said, no, I think I'm doing something pretty big.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
I mean, I probably have done some things wrong.
No, not at all.
But certainly it's a really, really big undertaking for us. It's probably the biggest IT project that the NAIC has ever undertaken. We're talking about an organization that's 125 years old. So we are super excited about it. Our members are wildly excited. And we're just really happy with what we've done so far.
Well, that's great. Well, thank you for entrusting Appian. And it's when I think about how significant that SERFF process is, how integral it is to the entire insurance ecosystem. I mean, it's paramount to creation of products and all these different focus areas. So the fact that it's taking a little bit of time doesn't surprise me when you think about your storied history, the last time you had a major refresh. You're getting it right, and this is proof in the timeline. So I'm curious from that perspective, Bridget, how you came to choose Appian, kind of how you evaluated. There's a lot of different low code, or there's a lot of different cloud-based PaaS systems. Why did you come to select Appian as leading this with you from a partnership?
We knew we knew low code would be part of the solution. So we really wanted the speed and the flexibility that we thought that we would get with low code. We wanted a SaaS solution so that we had to do less maintenance and patching. So that was a really important piece for us. And when we did evaluate quite a few, so we went through an RFP process, and most of the leading respondents to that RFP proposed some kind of low code as part of the solution. So we evaluated some of those platforms, as well as the partner who suggested that platform, because we knew we wouldn't be able to do this on our own. It's such a big project, and there was so much new technology in it. So in the end, we felt like Appian was going to be really good for us because we partnered with PwC. We felt like they were going to be a really good partner for us.
Absolutely.
And we saw some of the things that Appian brought, like some of the emerging AI capabilities, a lot of the task management capabilities, the user interface capabilities, and we just felt like that was the best overall fit for the NAIC.
No, I saw you just kind of briefly shudder there a bit with the RFP process. Yet to your point, you're not evaluating a few weeks or a few months. I mean, you're evaluating a multi-year, long-term partnership. You're doing everything as far as that tech debt consolidation. So, very, kudos to you and the team for that discipline, because just as you saw this morning on our main stage, all the different, platform releases that we continue to invest in, now you benefit, from having that capability, whether it be AI or, speed is one of the biggest things, and we continue to really focus, maniacally focus, in fact, on getting faster.
I get so excited when I get the emails for the demo for the next release.
Next release,
what you've come up with.
Yeah, 4 times a year. It's an incredible time. It's and we've talked about this before. The Appian teams internally, we use the same platform. You kind of eat our own dog food, and so I personally value that. As a former technology leader, where you're not doing the testing in the field, you're receiving the benefit of a very disciplined process on the other side of the aisle. So that's great. So you spoke about not taking on so much all at once, and yet when I hear things like, your last major update release was 2005, was it? When you look at, how the industry with all the connected cars, all the different connected capabilities, so as you reflect on that, I mean, certainly it was, with well intended, but you quickly realize it was a lot. Any feedback for the audience or those watching as far as, would you do anything different, or is it just, kind of is a reflection of what it is?
Yeah, I don't think if we had all of the time in the world, we might have started with SERFF, because it is a really big application and it is pretty mission critical. And, in addition to working on that, like we were learning new technology, we were learning new ways of working because we hadn't had a partner like PwC before. So it was a lot at once, but I think it was the right place, right time for SERFF. We knew we needed to move. We knew we needed to modernize. It didn't make sense to build another Java monolithic application when we thought low code was our future. We did do a pilot before we actually finally settled into both PwC and Appian, and that was really helpful for us because we learned how to work with them. We learned how to work with Appian. So I think that was really important for us. I think where people can do smaller experiments or side experiments, that's really good. Definitely we took advantage of the training opportunities that Appian provides. So we sent a lot of people through some of those foundational components. We have had a couple of internal developers. So we found someone from product support that became an Appian developer, which was a great success story, I think, for us. We had one of our Java developers kind of move over to the Appian side. And then we used one of the resource providers. So we did a contract to hire through they had already trained in Appian and joined our team. So that's been really good for us. I think that training to continue to extend and build that knowledge. I think even for the business people, I would say, take some of that training because you want to be able to talk the talk. And for us, it was a little bit of a mindset shift as well. I had been in the IT space working on SERFF almost since its very beginning, and I was very accustomed to how custom Java application development is done. And so it took some time to kind of learn to lean into the features that Appian provided and to start thinking about that Appian first mentality to where we would go to the architect and say, okay, well, how should this be done in Appian? Not because we weren't starting something new, we weren't digitizing a paper process. We were taking a well-entrenched, robust system and trying to
very
modernize
detailed at that, yes.
Yeah, so we already kind of knew a lot about what we needed, and we certainly, having worked on SERFF for as long as we had some notions about how things were done. So I think making that shift to think about sort of the Appian way of doing things and really try to leverage what the platform brings to you and maybe rethink your processes.
No, it's good feedback. And again, kudos to you and the team. I think back to some of our early day conversations around even how you were thinking about staffing. We were talking about working with local, either community colleges or trade schools on how to create, Appian resources are widely available, yet you were thinking very, future focused on, there in Kansas City, looking at, how you could work through that, working with, the various resources within Appian. And I also like that, PwC, one of just our most strategic insurance partners, fantastic, selection there. I'm curious if there's any additional insights you can share from, that perspective on collaborating with them and what they've brought to you as, this journey.
Yeah, they've been invaluable partners for us because it was new technology and a huge project for us. They were able to bring a lot of resources to the table. We've gotten excellent resources from PwC. They were familiar with the technology. We found that they learned our processes pretty quickly. We brought a lot of strong business guidance from our side, as well as bringing in some of our technical people to partner with them.
That's great.
But it has been a really good partnership. And I think partnering with an organization as large as PwC has helped as well, because when we run into something unique, they have a pretty deep bench.
They do.
So they can always call someone to step in and help where we
need. Their team on the industry side, a number of former CIOs from insurance firms, and it's great. Think about this in the context of the industry and you as the customer. We're constantly collaborating with them at the industry level and trying to anticipate what's next, and then how we could bring either benefits into the platform or over to you to benefit everybody to benefit from that perspective. So, like, you look ahead, and how do you envision really Appian kind of continue to enhance, if you will, maybe the overall experience for your stakeholders? I mean, you have a number of unique personas and individual kind of groups, through this process that come in from, the insurance carriers themselves, the departments of insurance. How do you envision, kind of Appian from a future perspective with enhancing that?
Yeah, we are really hoping that this interstate compact, that's our first milestone release. They do a lot of life and annuity filings. And
Okay.
so we're really hoping that we've set a baseline there, and then being able to take those processes, the task management framework, all of these things and these tools and these capabilities that we're using, and then we'll go to each state, kind of present that process model in a user-friendly format and say, does this work for you? Great. If it does, then we're going to use this. If not, then we'll be able to very quickly iterate on that to bring that level of customization to them. So we think that that Appian will be key to doing that.
Yeah, and I think about, even like you said in your open, as far as how many steps you've been able to remove, or the intelligent automation, and just reducing the effort, increasing self-service capabilities. I mean, right at the heart of kind of our continuous focus on process improvements as well as orchestration within the platform. So, no, that's great. So then, kind of maybe pivoting to when we think about integration capabilities, with the data fabric and all the different API. I mean, you have a wealth of different third-party data sources, either legacy or maybe what you're looking forward to in the future. How do you envision those and the value that aligns to these applications? As you go through both this as well as the future.
Yeah, the integration piece of this has been huge for us. So we certainly had to. We both migrate legacy data, but we're also integrating back to legacy for some functions. We have an integration with our enterprise data warehouse, which sits on top of Snowflake. We are integrated with Okta for authentication. We use Apprise for some of our document capabilities like annotations and viewing. We integrate with internal data stores and internal systems for all kinds of things that are making the application. The NAIC has a lot of data, and we have a lot of data on different things. So we're really trying to capitalize on that to make those really smart features so that the filing process is easier and the regulators have a ton of tools available to them to make sure that they are doing a consistent and thorough review and doing good job getting those products out to the market.
Yeah, my mind's eye, of course, no crystal ball, but I think about how data and access and sources of data is so integral to kind of AI or AI created products, hyper-personalized products, and how that data fabric will be just paramount to continuing to see this evolve. And maybe that's a good pivot. In fact, you heard a lot in maybe the keynotes to our private AI strategy, and I was curious if you had any concepts, design patterns, anything that you were thinking about in the future.
I have so many concepts.
Yeah?
I'm not the design patterns girl, so hopefully the team's already working on that. But I'm really excited about the things I heard this morning. The business requirements piece was very cool. That little piece where it generates the graph for you, that's game changing for both the way that we build applications as well as for our regulators to just be. A lot of times in the regulatory space, you have these very routine activities, but then you have your legislature or your commissioner coming to you saying, I need to know this obscure thing because it's related to some bill we're working on or some, high priority situation, and being able to bring a tool like that to put it at their fingertips. Now, we don't have to build all of that capability of how are you going to report on this? How will you find that information? So I think that's going to be, I can't wait to demo that to some of the regulators. There are a lot of use cases for AI in SERFF. The ability to take this filing that has literally hundreds of forms, tons of data, rate impact information here, and say, summarize this for me. What am I looking at is huge. We really want to use AI to give a lift to the regulatory process. The states today have these checklists they use that could be hundreds of rules. If you are filing a personal property filing in the state of Kansas, it must do this and it cannot do that. So we think that AI can help find those clauses, the musts and the don'ts, and start to tell the regulator, this is okay, this looks like maybe it's not okay. And then we think as the regulators do their review, we'll be training that to get better and better. And as soon as it is good enough, we make that industry facing. So now they get those warnings. Eventually they get stops to say, you can't file this. It won't be compliant with Kansas law.
That's right.
Go ahead and fix it. the regulators have so much less work to do. They can focus on the really hard and intricate things, and those products get to market so much faster.
And I really like the fact that they get to market faster. Your customer, the carrier in that example, insurer, is able to right there, see, in near real time, the feedback. They can take that back to their teams. And I really like the transparency that it provides. And so when we think about all the things that could potentially go wrong with AI or AI-based, algorithmic, decisioning, I really like the fact that we can see in transparent, terms why the decision was made. We can map back in a heavily regulated environment and just continue to evolve rapidly, as the industry does.
We're very big on human in the loop, and I think the first time I ever heard the phrase was at Appian World last year. And I think that that's been comforting to our users as well, because we have a pretty big spectrum of I'm all in on AI and I cannot wait for it to. AI is going to take my job.
Sleep over it, yes.
And I also heard about this terrible thing that it did. So we really want to make sure that both the industry and the regulator see what's happening and kind of really have that final say over what is this product I'm submitting or approving.
That mixed autonomy is key to really help orchestrate change. Exactly. Well, we have time for a few questions from the audience?
Definitely do.
Good. Yeah. Well, so if you have questions for Bridget, please either raise your hand. Yes, in front here.
Just one question. Might be a little longer, I guess. So on the roadmap,
there's a microphone for you.
I don't know how far you've gone to actually building the application, but one of the exciting things about Appian is they just rolled a bunch of things out. And PwC's maybe sitting in the room like, hey, we made a bunch of decisions, tried to use things out of the box, but they had to customize things that now are like being addressed in some of these things.
Yeah.
How do you plan on kind of addressing some of the adoption of some of these new and awesome things on things that were already built? Because you already just went through a big change management process, for example. Now, like changing again might not be a great idea. Big benefit of using Appian, but it creates its own challenges.
Yeah, so when we see something come out, I think we pause and think about like, where will we use it and when is the right time to use it? We definitely want to get that first production release out this year because what we've already done will be so impactful to our users. And then I think we just sort of go back and just say, how do we start to layer in these new pieces? And that's where we're sort of counting on the low code, making that easier for us to adapt. But it's definitely something that we have to sit down and think about, because we don't want to necessarily undo everything that we've done once a new feature is available to us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, being able to have that future ready, if you will, as you go through with all the different area releases and move through it.
Yeah.
So, great. Other questions? Yes, Sanjay?
So you alluded to some of the drivers in making a decision to make this large change. And one of them appeared to be the retirement potential, right? The folks who have been there for 30 years and the experience walking out the door. The other could be the new generation, how they want to work in the workplace, right? Could you speak to those two factors a little more and how this is going to help in both of those?
Yeah, that's an interesting, there's like two sides of that dynamic, because one is the training aspect. So what we hope is that through some of the AI capabilities, those seasoned reviewers can train the AI to benefit the newer reviewers. And so as it gives prompts or, what would Joe do in this situation? Like the AI will benefit from what the regulation. We also have 25 years of data. And so if we can leverage that to help the newer people make good decisions. So that's one aspect. The other aspect of it is building the user interface for those two very different personas. And so we hope that the modern interface is very appealing. There was a presentation, I think it was in the keynote yesterday. Somebody said, I want people to love it. Like, I want them to log in and think, not only does this work great, it's beautiful. And that's what we want for SERFF too. And so we're hoping that the modern look and feel and the tools and the capabilities will appeal to these newer and often younger users, but that it's easy and it's smart and it's flexible, and that'll bring those people, because we have people say, why are you changing? It works fine. Like, they don't really want that change. But then I think once they start to see what it will do for them and what it will mean. They're like, okay. And so then we've had those people who were on that, Q4 2025, and they're like, can I get it sooner? Like, I like what you're doing. How do I? And I'm like, well, no.
I'll be your beta tester today. That's right.
I'm like, you can learn how to do life and annuity filings. That's how you get it sooner.
Yeah, exactly. No, we've had, from a design within our solutions, for instance, we've been seeing more interest in gamification and being able to create a, advanced or novice view, or being able to have the flexibility. And I think about one of our larger insurer customers in Europe, where they had colleagues in the division that started their journey with Appian, one application, multiple applications, to the point where colleagues are only using Appian. They leave that division to another division where it hasn't been started, and they want to come back. So they're attributing a retention component, because who wouldn't want to have a single interface and just have that simplicity?
Yeah.
So yeah, great question. All right, maybe time for one more. Any others? All right. Britta, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
It's great seeing you. Appreciate your time here. Take care.